You can spend thousands on a single reverb plugin, but what if the best one is actually free and right under our noses? I've spent a good deal of time with the Valhalla line of reverbs, FabFilter's Pro R1 and 2, as well as a scattering of others, and they're all great, but I think Raum is my favourite because it can handle all three types of reverb that I use. Short reverbs for general mixing, long ambient verbs for drenching sounds, and creative effects that you can resample for later use. Because of its capabilities, Raum is best thought of more as a creative effect than just a reverb plugin. Here's how you can use the 3 levels of reverb to improve your mixing, sound design, and creative effects, with the third being my favourite. The first level is traditional reverb. For this, I like to keep Raum set to the Airy algorithm, which is based on a room reverb. You've most likely seen and interacted with these kinds of parameters on other reverbs, but here's a quick refresher on what they do. When working with the vocal, we'll focus on several controls, starting with the pre-delay. The pre-delay adjusts the time it takes for the reverb effect to set in. This allows us to add separation between our dry vocal signal and the reverb. Let's leave this around here so there's just a touch of separation between the two. If it's set too long, it acts as a delay.
Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight. Blossom on my loving like a rose tonight.
Diffusion adjusts the texture of the reverb's reflections. Turning this control to the right softens the early reflections and produces a smoother onset of the reverb.
Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight. Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight.
Decay adjusts the length of the reverb or reverb time. Turning this control to the right changes the reverb time from short to long.
Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight.
We'll keep this around 1.2 seconds, as I want to get the impression of the reverb without hearing its tail. Damp adjusts the tonal quality from bright to dark. Turning this control to the right attenuates the reverb's high frequency content. Matching this to your vocal can work well, so if you have a bright vocal, use a darker reverb and vice versa.
Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight. Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight.
If you can't hear a difference, don't worry, as it's extremely subtle in this context. Size adjusts the swell and reflection pattern of the reverb effect, creating the impression of differently sized spaces. Turning this control to the right changes the size from small to large. So here's a final A/B.
Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight. Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight.
And in the context of the track.
Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight. Blossom on my loving like a rose tonight. Baby, you don't have to feel alone tonight. Blossom on my loving like a rose tonight.
For some additional tweaking, you can adjust the low cut and high cut controls. The low cut applies a shell filter in the range of 0 to -24 decibels, and the high cut applies a filter in the range of 90 kHz to 1 kHz. Low cutting your reverb is usually a smart practice to remove any mud cluttering up the low end. I like a setting that looks like this on an EQ, and recommend using an EQ before your reverb plugin on the effects end, just to have that additional level of control. The second level is fun in its simplicity and takes advantage of an age-old sound design secret. Drenching sounds in reverb can turn an okay sound into a great one. Let me show you what I mean. Here we have a dry Blade Runner-esque pad from, of course, the CS80. If only I had the hardware. It sounds fine, but nothing special. Let's drench it in reverb. Much better, but we can go even further. By utilizing the freeze function, which holds the reverb sound content for as long as the function is activated, we can start creating interesting textures. You'll have noticed me playing with a feedback control over here. This adjusts the level of the feedback signal from the output of the pre-delay to its input, effectively increasing the number of delay repetitions. At 100% feedback, you can use it in conjunction with the pre-delay, essentially using this control as a looper. There's also a built-in limiter to ensure you don't create a mess that blows your eardrums, a very real problem, I can assure you. So far, I've been using the Airy algorithm, which is one of the 3 that Raum offers. As mentioned, it's based on a Hall reverb with naturally dispersed early reflections and a smooth reverb tail. The reverb size ranges from medium-sized chambers to large cathedrals and beyond. The next algorithm, Grounded, is based on a room reverb with strong early reflections and a dense reverb tail. The size ranges from tiny ambiances to large chambers. Cosmic is the one to use for crazy effects, as it's not based on any reverb but extends Raum's range of sounds to abstract spaces and ambient soundscapes. Since the algorithm is placed inside the pre-delay's feedback path, it interacts more closely with all of the parameters related to pre-delay. But with Cosmic, you don't have access to the freeze function, so bear that in mind. You could categorize these algorithms as room, hall, and creative if you like. Personally, I tend to stick to the Airy setting because I just love how it sounds. The third level of reverb is what I call creative effects. This includes methods like resampling synth one-shots with long reverb tails. These can be used as effects like risers, ear candy, and bleeps. I'm using the rolling sampler here, which I recently made a video about, to capture the audio in my DAW, pre-master, and save the files directly into my folder system. This removes any need for exporting, naming, and all the other tedious tasks associated with creating your own samples. Taking advantage of the freeze feature while playing with the feedback produces textures that are nearly impossible to recreate exactly the same again. This is why I recommend resampling everything you create so you have your files safely backed up in audio format. I find that this method is best suited for creating atmospheric beds that can swell in the background of your music. This is why I mentioned at the beginning that this plugin is best thought of as a creative effect rather than just a reverb. Its feature set extends beyond what you typically encounter in reverbs while still retaining its ability to function as a traditional reverb. Raum is available for free in Complete Start, which is worth picking up as it contains a bunch of great instruments, effects, and libraries at no cost. I've linked to it in the description below. This video is not sponsored by Native Instruments, it's just an appreciation for a great reverb that anyone can access. If you're interested in more creative methods for making music, you might enjoy this video showcasing how you can turn any sound, even those from songs, into a fully fledged synth patch. I hope you find it valuable. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.